our third little topic here, and we're going to talk about AI and critical thinking, because this is the one that, where the teeth gnashing comes in. And I feel like this is a really great infographic that is not my work. This came from the Michigan Virtual Organization. They do a lot of work with AI. I'm going to a tech conference there later this week. And what is really interesting is they almost categorized and gave really good examples of what AI shouldn't be doing, AI probably is doing, and where we want students to be and to go when it comes to AI. And so I put these little boycott symbols down at the bottom because this is our fear. And I see your comment on who sponsors the sites. That is another question to ask, definitely. So our fear is that AI is going to become a crutch. And so the way this data is organized is, let's say we're working with a student that it just simply can't do the learning task. It is a little bit beyond their reach. This is going to be their first line of approach. They're going to go right to AI and they're going to have it do the writing assignment. And this is where everybody's fearful. And it's a legitimate fear. Going to the one student that can do the learning task, and sometimes they maybe need a little extra support, or they are just not your most motivated student. They rely heavily on AI-generated study notes to prepare for an assignment without guidance or instruction for educators. So they're kind of trying to skip steps because it's a lot of work. And if you teach, that is what the students do. They have a tendency to avoid the things that are hard. And then finally, the student can do learning tasks on their own. They are a capable, competent student, but here we've got those procrastinators. They want to finish quickly. They want to get her done. They are not finding the particular project inspiring enough to put forth the effort. They are going to use AI as a crutch. Here's all our fear right here at the bottom of the chart. Right here in the middle of the chart is, I think, where we're starting to get, and I'd be happy if this is where we are with AI. I think good teachers are modeling and bringing their students to this point because AI can be an excellent assistant. Quite frankly, AI has been an excellent assistant all along. We just hadn't had these generative AI tools at the time, because AI, such as algorithmic thinking, spell checkers, calculators, things like that, that's been around for a while. And so an example of a student that can't do a learning task that might turn to AI would be an ELL student, relying on an educator for guidance and support using AI tools. And so they're getting pronunciation support like Google Translate, they're getting feedback, they're getting vocabulary help, conversation simulations. So we've seen this. This exists right now. The student with learning supports, they are using AI too. I mean, I use AI when it comes to grammar checking and spell checking and little things like that to use, to support writing skills. And even the independent student uses these AI assistants, well, even these assistants, but as well as maybe translation tools to take their, communication with different countries, or maybe you're doing a collaborative project internationally. So sure, they can use AI tools for that. That exists. What we want in that perfect world, here we are on the top, right? The student that can't do the learning task finds a way to use AI to support their learning. And the example they're providing here, maybe they're doing some coding or programming. AI is really good at coding, and I'm going to show you a project with students that involves coding with AI that was so exciting. And so it's going to strengthen their skills. It's going to be that scaffold, because I think that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for it to do the work and be the crutch. We're looking at to scaffold and support students that can't do the task. In the middle, when the student can do the task, but they still need supports, well, here we go. We talked about crafting lessons. And so now we can craft lessons. Educators can craft lessons that integrate AI research tools for collecting data, analyzing discoveries, and publishing findings. Okay, so this is using AI as an accelerator for that learner. And then finally, this one, a student acquires and independently uses AI-guided directions to design a science experiment. Now we're building that heutagogy, which is one of my favorite new words. You might have to type it in the chat. We're finding self-directed learners. We're having AI start building self-directed learners. And though that is heutagogy, it is a step beyond the pedagogy that we all know. And it's a beautiful thing when we've got that self-directed learner. That's where we want them to be. So how do we get here? How do we get to Hudagogy? How do we get these students to be self-directed and using AI to support them instead of as a crutch? Well, we talked about it at the beginning, and I love the people that said start with ethics, start with integrity, because it's a must. We have to. This is a little AI guide that I created for students, and it sort of guides them towards, okay, here are the things that are acceptable use in my classroom. Here are the things that I will allow you to use AI for. I'm very explicit in my classroom in terms of, I know AI is there, and I know that you know AI is there, and I will allow it because it is a tool that can support your learning when effectively used. And I go very directly into the don'ts. Do not do this. This is not okay. This is not ethical. Again, you tell someone not to do it, that doesn't mean they're not going to do it. And I get that. Interesting. Okay. And one of the things I do with this ethics guide, I thought I put it in here, is I actually put it right into my syllabus. I have a digital syllabus they use right at the beginning of the classroom, and I talk to them directly about it. And I often say with teachers too, we need to model appropriate use. We need to show them that we use AI and be open about the fact that we're using AI and model to them the effective ways to use AI. I don't use it to replace my thought. I use it to enhance my thought. I use it to accelerate my teaching and the things that I create and share with you, students. And then engage them in the learning. And this is, in my opinion, this is the most important one. It's not new that students have been Googling answers. It's not new that this one's been grabbing this one's crossword puzzle and they sit next to each other and they look up all the answers together and not only look at each other's papers, but use the computer. Knowing your learners is number one when it comes to keeping them from using AI tools to replace their thinking. We can't be lazy teachers. We have to make sure that we're engaged with them and the learning. And a great example of that is the essay writing process. I'm an ELA teacher. I have everything to fear when it comes to having AI replace my students' writing. However, I also know my learners. I know that if I'm writing an essay at the very beginning, what are we going to do? We are going to brainstorm. That is going to be a visible brainstorm. I will be able to see their thinking and see the path that their brains are heading down, whether that's narrative text or whether it's expository text. Our next step, well, we begin to organize our writing. That is very visible to me. I can very visibly see where their thoughts are going and what they are doing with their piece of writing. And then finally, we have the writing piece. Writing doesn't manifest on the page. Writing is a process. And everywhere along the steps in that process, I can see where my students might have used AI as a crutch to replace their thought, because it's going to be very apparent it isn't their thought. And so that's kind of the take that I've always had on, having them use AI to replace at least their writing pieces. So I want to share some fun things that you can do with students in the classroom, because to me, this is the most exciting part. So this is a project I did with my students recently, and we were learning Latin roots. Now, this is AI art, so it's still generative AI, but there's so many different AI art tools you can use out there. I happen to use Canva for this one. And they were given a creature builder menu, and we were trying to get them to start focusing on the Latin roots to words. And so I just wanted to give them a whole page of Latin roots. And I told them, pull all these Latin words together and make yourself a beast. Then have AI generate a picture of your beast. And just so you know, this is the frickin'. It is a frog chicken, but the frickin' is now like our class mascot because it is so popular. So this student was creating a frog chicken hybrid, and then I had them do a writing piece about their frog chicken hybrid. Did they use AI? Yeah. It created the frog chicken. Did AI write anything about the habitat, the development, the lifestyle? Nope, because that was a piece of fiction writing that the students kind of just invented along the way. And this was all done in Canva. The creature card was in a template in Canva, and they took the picture and used Canva AI to generate the picture, and then they typed it, and we put them up, and it was just a really terrific way to engage them in the learning and show them how we can appropriately use AI art in that particular application. So I mentioned to you that you can use coding in AI, And this project, and I'm hoping I have time to pop on over to it. This project was pretty amazing. So we were learning about tone and mood and writing, and I was trying to teach them how authors write with specific tones, and you can often dedicate a word to the tone in which a piece of writing represents. And I wanted them to sort of experience that firsthand. And so I had them pick a tone slash mood word for a piece of writing. And I had them brainstorm what they wanted that writing to include. Maybe a particular character, maybe they wanted a purple dinosaur, or maybe they wanted, a bunch of chipmunks running through, I don't know, just something made up. And I let them use AI to write the story. And I let them prompt engineer, and I told them to be very specific that you wanted a passage to be written in a dreamy format, or whatever their mood word was, featuring their characters. And so what they saw was mentor text. What they experienced was mentor text being written with the tone, which was our target skill, right in front of their eyes. And here we had mentor text, we had AI support ideation, support content assistance, help them with coding, which they will never forget, not in a project like this. And they were able to demonstrate their creativity in a truly unique way. So it was a really what I call an app smash between AI and virtual reality. So a lot of fun. And then we're not going to stop there, because I had a brainstorm today and I was really excited to share it with all of you today. So I'm going to share that as my last thing, and then we'll go to questions and we'll start to wrap things up. So the last thing I want to share with you that AI is going to do for my students is we are currently doing a crime scene. Here are my actual crime scene materials that the students are using. So they found out about a crime had been committed. We've been studying the genre of mystery. And they are looking at evidence. So they have all this evidence to look at. They have hair samples. They have footprints. Let me show you. Oh, they've got a little, it might look like Ted's Red Hot sauce, but that's actually blood. No, it's not. So they have hair follicles they're going to look at, and they have to piece together all this evidence, which is cool. But I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if they could actually interview the suspects? So here we have their suspects. And prior to today, my suspects had written bios and written information the kids would look at. And I was like, no, I want them to meet these suspects. These are all imaginary people. And so I found a way to have them meet these suspects. So these pictures of the suspects were generated with AI. That's cool. Now I have a face to go with the suspect name, but we took it one more step. We went in and we are going to have them meet the suspect, because each suspect now has what is called its own GPT. So this is a GPT that I trained to answer the questions based on the crime scene that the students are reading about. So the only thing it can do is act like Lois Steen. The only thing it can do is answer questions about this crime scene. And so it's like the students are going to have the opportunity to sit with that person and interview that person through the lens of AI. So the way I'm planning on doing it, because my kids have no access to ChatGPT at my school, so I'm taking over the library, and since there's 6 suspects, we're setting one picture of the suspect at the top of the computer, and I'm logging into the 6 computers. And their teams are going to sit around and ask questions of each one of the suspects for 5 or 10 minutes, and then rotate through the 6 stations. And the day before they do that, they're going to have a writing exercise where they write down their questions, and they're going to practice their questioning strategies. So I just thought it was a really great example of how we can take AI and truly make it a robust tool to support my students' learning. So I'm really excited to do this one.